the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, live for the first time in 2023, 2023. And what a time to be live. I mean, we're a little late. I'm not going to lie. We're a little delayed on talking about everything that's come out in the last week, the first week.
We need a cooling off period. It's like when it's like there needs to be like gun laws. There needs to be laws for this kind of stuff. There needs to be a cooling down period.
So you were saying, Jared, and wait, a couple things, little housekeeping elements. Number one, Mr. Soup and Sausage is otherwise
the Sausage King of Chicago.
Indisposed, which means because of the technology, no phone lines. We do have obviously the chat and the comments, and if you want to say something, throw it in there. Jared will bring it up on the screen. I'm not going to do it. It's all you, Jared. I'm leaving it to you, so don't have that crossing the stream situation. Okay, that's the one major housekeeping element. You were talking before we came on the air. I was going to tell you the story about my experience of trying to follow the last week's events while away in Puerto Rico.
You better set the stage.
With my wife.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I was going to tell a story, and you're like, no, save it for the show. So should I explain to you how my last week?
To set the stage, we've been gone for a while. You've been in Puerto Rico for a number of weeks. I had some vacations that I was taking as well. So it's like you can never pick a good time to take a vacation, it seems like. And we should have known better than the first week of January being the time where you should be off. But this had nothing to do with transfers. It had nothing to do with like contracts being out. This is a different beast. It's a horse of a different color.
I thought when I set up my week, and I get a couple of days around Christmas because with the radio show. Jared, were you aware? It's 2023. By now you have to know, right? That I have a radio show.
AM or FM?
WNBC. WNBC.
Man, I wish I was on AM or FM. That would be cool. That would be retro. No, satellite radio. Everybody knows this. Okay, so I get a couple of days off around Christmas and the holidays because of Boxing Day games. We run Premier League matches. We run Carabao Cup games, stuff like that, right? And so there are days I have off. I don't usually schedule an off week the week of Christmas, even the week before Christmas. And I usually don't schedule a full week off from everything I do ever. I'm always kind of doing a little bit of stuff. When you don't have when you're not an employee, so to speak, when you're more of a contracted individual, you feel like you got to bust your ass, otherwise you're not making money. So for the first time in a long time, I was like, okay, I need a week. I need 5 straight days of not working. Let's see how that goes. And because the trip to Puerto Rico is a family trip, and there's Christmas and there's holidays and there's a big family reunion event on New Year's Day. My kid had a month early birthday party in Puerto Rico on Christmas Day. This is a whole story. There was roasted pig. There was all kinds of stuff happening. My wife and I, we got the grandparents to take care of the little one. Mr. Tiago can stay with abuela and abuelo, so let's go off and do something. And I said, well, I haven't seen this part of the island. So she's like, okay, well, let's book an Airbnb in that part of the island for a couple of days. So that is what we did. I chose to completely cut myself off from everything. And I was going to be very, very focused on not being tied to my phone.
I'm
working on that.
In the moment. No one's in the moment anymore. You were going to be in the moment.
Exactly. Look, to be completely honest with you, I've had 20 years of struggling to be in the moment. Like I've not really been a present person in my life. I'm trying to make a commitment to be a present person. So I decided this is going to be my week of nothing. You know what's going to happen in the first week of January after World Cup? Nothing. Come on, what's going to happen? Maybe a transfer, like you said. Maybe with the expiration of Greg Berhalter's contract on New Year's Day, maybe we get some chatter. But they're not going to hire somebody in the first week of the year, right? Nah. I'm okay. I can go off. And what happened? This is the biggest American soccer scandal story since '98, and we didn't know what was going on in '98. until years later, right?
Yeah, that's the difference in just where we're at as a media society now versus in 1998, where you could sit on something like this. If the players didn't talk about it, it wasn't go out. And there was the clout chasing kind of thing wasn't a thing back in 98. We talked about just when we were talking about Grant Wall today. There was like 5 dudes doing it.
I'm gonna say this.
There was like 5 dudes covering U.S. soccer back then.
I'm gonna say something about a guy I like. There wasn't an Eric Winalda outside of the Eric Winalda situation to tweet about Eric Winalda. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have, like, you know what I mean? Like, he was involved in 98, but in a very different way. In 2022, he's doing something different.
He kind of wasn't involved, and that's the problem.
That's not, I don't even.
It's just history.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You wasted.
But you're right. This is the biggest. This is the biggest scandal story, biggest story in U.S. soccer. If you think of not even scandal, if you think of bigger story ever in U.S. soccer.
Well, okay. I do think
Klinsman living off Donovan.
No, I mean that was a bomb, but that wasn't. Maybe it was. Maybe it was a bigger story to the rest of sports in America because they knew who
that
Donovan
wasn't on
was.
Sky Sports and BBC though.
No, that's true. I mean, this thing is so.
Do we have to set this up? Do people not know what we're talking about? Is there a chance anyone doesn't know? Okay.
No, everybody listening to this show right now knows exactly what happened last week, or what happened to the World Cup and what happened in the aftermath. And man, I'm just so disappointed.
Oh,
I'm just
bummed.
so.
Well, I'll tell you
so
this
sad.
though, I couldn't stop refreshing my feeds though. I couldn't like it's like you quit Twitter like you are not Jeff Bridges, but who's their dad? Jeff Bridges' dad. Lloyd Bridges.
Oh,
You're Lloyd Bridges from Airplane. It's the most ultimate Lloyd Bridges from Airplane. Like I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. Kind of like like you had unfortunately Grant Wall's news the day you quit Twitter, and then you have this going on while you're gone, and you're in Puerto Rico, and you're not following socials these days anyway. And the biggest story of all time kind of comes out. And first of all, it's a tragedy. It's a Shakespearean tragedy that what's happening. And if you had told me on December 11th after the news about Gio coming out, and if you told me that I was going to really feel bad for Gio in a month, I'd be like, the kid did his thing. He deserved what he got kind of at the World Cup. I feel bad for Gio these days because I don't feel like he probably had any role in any of this stuff outside of his actions at the beginning of the World Cup.
I hope not. He did issue that Instagram statement the day of Berhalter's comments in New York at the How conference, or
as he should have.
It is.
I think those were justified.
He definitely took his shots, right? And he didn't. I went back and looked at it, and I was trying to figure out. Okay, was there something here that I'm missing that he knew about what had gone down with his mom? I mean, obviously that was like, what did he know his mom was going to do something? Like, I don't know. Like it was,
and then like Rosalind Berhalter too. Jesus. What
for her, absolutely
brutal time for her to have to go through, and like just to have someone. I mean, it's some Real Housewives shit. Like there's some Real Housewives shit that 100%. Someone decided to make into U.S. soccer, and it's like people don't realize that that's not real life. Like this, like stop attesting and thinking that's the way you handle your problems in the world.
First of all, there are so many things here culturally, right? This is helicopter parenting on a level that is so public and so, troubling. It's youth soccer culture coming to a head with the national team, right? With the men's national team. There is not a higher level of soccer in this part of the world than the U.S. men's national team, right? We just don't. MLS is great. It is what it is. It's growing. It's fine. It's whatever. This is the thing that actual people who don't care about other soccer care about in this country, the U.S. men's national team. And to have this go down and have it be, again, this sort of the same thing that happens in youth soccer all the time. Coaches getting berated because their kids aren't playing. Right? Coaches getting pressured. And again, the familial connections and the real soccer moms is a good shout by Aaron. I'll say that. I was trying to when I did check on this, and it was like a moment, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you a secret about my wife. Okay, my wife loves gossip. She loves the bochinche, as they say.
She likes the telenovelas too, right?
She likes
the
that
chisme.
stuff. within a certain context. She doesn't want people to get hurt, and she doesn't like really bad stuff. But she does.
So did you do what I did? Did you actually sit your wife down and tell her the story? Like I was like, this is the first story my wife's ever going to actually care about in U.S. soccer.
And
like,
we were sitting. I put this in the Bestie Slack. You can actually see the picture. I'm sure it's still there. The day that all of the stuff happened, where it came out that this was a Reyna production, I'm sitting at a beachside. They call them chinchorros in Puerto Rico. They're beachside bars. We were taking our drive up the coast. We were having our couples time together. My wife is like, you kind of do a tour of these little roadside bars. They're called chinchorros. Like I said, it's a chinchorreo when you go on these little tours. And she's like, well, I'm going to look for a chinchorreo path, and we'll stop here and there and there. And we picked one, and it turned out to be like the gringo one. Like everybody in the bar was an American who spoke English and was visiting Puerto Rico, which she didn't dig the vibe too much. I understand. But we're sitting there, and I'm floored. I'm just blown away that this is what happened. And I'm explaining it to her. And as people were talking about it in our Slack, I posted a picture. You can see it's me and her, drinks right there next to us, couple of mojitos, and there's the beach in the background. Wow.
And you literally were in the Slack like, hey, what happened?
Yeah, I did. I jumped in the Slack because okay, the timeline of this thing, Jared, and I was on the radio when Berhalter said what he said in New York, when Giovanni Reyna responded, when the whole world was kind of like picking a side, right? And I don't think there was a side. I don't think there was a good side. Berhalter screwed up.
No.
Gio had obviously messed up in Qatar. I know there's lots of debate about how Berhalter handled it with the team, and should the team have...
But someone had to take it to 11.
Somebody had to take it to... Well, that's... Who took it to 11, Jared?
Well, Gio's parents took it to 11.
So
you think it's otherwise?
No. I agree. That's exactly right. Gio's parents took it to 11. And I think no matter what you think about Berhalter, and no matter what you think about him as a coach, which I know is the number one problem for a lot of fans.
Yeah.
What you think of him as how he handled Gio in Qatar, which is a completely different situation, right? That's part of coaching, but I think most people's first beef with Berhalter is your system sucks. We don't score goals. We can't be this team. We can't be that team. The whole thing about the way Berhalter handled the situation in Qatar and all of that. I don't know. The problem with the whole thing is that the relationships were messy from the very beginning. Right?
Yeah, and that's U.S. soccer, Jason. That's U.S. soccer. When you make this is messy from day one. When the brother of a executive in U.S. soccer gets the job, and then you have kids of his former players and his best friends being involved, and not just that, the parents of that child they talk to Uncle Ernie. Like it's you have these blurred lines, and I gotta say this to U.S. soccer fan base that's out there. Be careful what you wish for. Just let me say this real quick. Be careful what you wish for. And we're gonna get into coaching vacancies here in a second. But you think you want Jesse Marsh. But do you really want to continue this road of people having ins and being inside the soccer sphere? Or is it time just to pull the trigger and let the dunk tank fall, and you put a new person in there that's not part of the sphere?
So we did that with Klinsmann, right? Now Klinsmann was in America, and he certainly had some connections within American soccer circles and all of that. But he wasn't a former teammate of these guys, right? He didn't grow up in American soccer. He didn't come through the college ranks and the early MLS days and all those things. He didn't. That wasn't him, right? His kids played, but they didn't play with these kids. All of that. And I think it can be. Well, that was a good thing on some level, because would an American coach have ever left Landon Donovan off the roster? No matter if I think it's the right decision or not. But Klinsmann had the hand in that situation to be able to make that call and not care, right? Because most coaches wouldn't do it, even if they thought it was the right thing to leave him off. They wouldn't do it because he's Landon freaking Donovan, and I'm an American soccer coach. How can I leave him off, right? We went the other way. I know Bruce came in, but we went the other way here with Berhalter, who is the ultimate system guy, the ultimate, American soccer insider. He played in Europe, but he played in Major League Soccer. He played with all these guys. He came through the system. He's all that stuff. Again, the family connections with the Reynas and the Berhalters. And I think you need to find a better coach than Klinsmann without all of the incestuous bullshit that comes with Greg Berhalter.
Yeah,
that's what we needed.
And I want to say this too, and I don't know that I've seen many people bashing on it, but Ernie Stewart did the right thing. Ernie Stewart did the right thing, regardless of the personal relationship he has with Daniela Reyna. He had a person reporting to him a potential domestic violence issue inside U.S. Soccer. He has to launch that investigation.
No, sure, of course. Now,
all that.
The question, hold on. You said he did the right thing.
Yes.
Should he have picked up the phone during a World Cup I guess the World Cup was over, but should he have picked up the phone? Man, that's the blurred line, right? That's the thing.
Well, he's picking up the phone the day his coach doxes Gio Reyna at a leadership conference because he's too naive to understand that off the record doesn't mean off the record when there's 300 people in the room.
Sure.
Okay.
No, Berhalter
should open up that call.
Berhalter screwed up.
Ernie Stewart should take that call for a number of reasons. First of all, it's a friend of the family, and that friend of the family just got done dirty by a member of U.S. Soccer. That was their head coach at that moment. And he was out there representing U.S. Soccer and doxing their son. Now, granted, no other parent is calling Ernie Stewart because the rest of the guys are grown-ass men. But this is where the blurred line happens.
Not even that.
I think there's nothing wrong with Daniela Reyna calling their friend and saying, hey, what's going on over here?
Absolutely there's a problem with that. Absolutely there's a problem with that. If she's calling Ernie Stewart as Ernie Stewart's friend to say, hey, do you want to have dinner with us next week? Okay, whatever. That's a personal relationship issue. She cannot intervene on behalf of her son in any way, shape, or form. And the other thing that bothers me about Daniela Reyna's behavior here, and Holden said something earlier, that there's family trauma, that could be part of this, and I do want to give as much consideration as possible to the fact that the Reyna family has been through some incredibly horrible stuff. And that can mark how you respond when one of your children is criticized. But he's a 19-year-old professional athlete, right?
Okay,
He's an adult. He's a professional. It is not her place to get on the phone and say, hey,
I don't know if this has been...
Your coach is mean to my kid, and now everybody's mean. Because the other part of this is, the part that bothers me is that she heard all of the criticism, and I go, okay, it's not a level playing field, but she heard or saw or was very sensitive to all this criticism about Giovanni Reyna after Berhalter said what he said in New York. But it's not like Berhalter was given a pass. Like, oh, you did the right thing, Greg. Here's let's all shake his hand and congratulate him on handling Gio Reyna the right way. Greg Berhalter got raked over the coals by more than half of the American soccer fan base. I'm not saying he should get consideration either, or everybody was too mean to Greg Berhalter. No, be mean to Greg Berhalter. It comes with the territory.
Yep, for sure.
You either grow the thick skin or you quit.
The other thing that comes with the territory, though, as a professional, is respecting the coach's decision as a player. Gio Reyna shouldn't be pouting over there because of the coach's decision. Okay,
and then there's this thing too, right? And this is the Winalda factor in all of this, right? Because Winalda said that Gio was asked to lie about his injury situation as an excuse for why Berhalter didn't play.
And he recanted it, yeah.
Okay, he recanted it, but clearly, and Winalda has said this on the record, clearly he was discussing things in conversation with Claudio Reyna about Gio's playing time, right? And now it comes out that it wasn't just after the fact, after Greg doxes Gio at the event in New York, but during the World Cup, there is communication happening, or at least an attempt at communication on the part of the Reyna family about Gio's playing time. What is this?
Okay, I feel like we need to be careful a little bit with this, because I got to remember how this stuff has been reported. First of all, Claudio Reyna is in Qatar. Ernie Stewart was in Qatar too, I believe. They could just be hanging out. You don't know. They could be having dinner, and these things are coming up. I don't know for a fact that Claudio Reyna went out and called. I don't even know that on that day, and I've got to go back and read the reporting. Maybe I missed this. I don't know if Ernie Stewart called Daniela Reyna that day to talk about, hey, sorry, we messed up on this. I don't know how that happened, but I know the conversation happened, and maybe I'm missing the fact that she's the one that called him. I don't know. But there's personal relations here. For all we know, Claudio Reyna and Ernie Stewart are having dinner in Qatar, and this is coming up.
But they shouldn't be, right? They shouldn't be.
He can't have dinner with a friend? But this is what we're talking about, right? There's too many blurred lines in U.S. soccer.
Okay.
There's too many blurred lines.
Okay, look, there's a friendship. It's a pre-existing, whatever. They can't be friends at the World Cup. They can't hang out during the World Cup. if there's any, and look, I know that there's supposed to be a line between or something between Ernie and Greg too, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Ernie, you're saying he did the right thing in regards to the incident in 1991 that was reported to him by Daniel Egan Reyna, but I hope that he didn't then go to Greg and say, hey, you know what? Claudio's really pissed off that Gio's not playing. Or he's pissed off about the way he's being treated. Because this is what happens, right? The kid, and I'm not going to blame Gio Reyna for talking to his parents about a situation, right? I get that, right?
Yeah.
He's in guitar, something happens. But do you think he told his parents, and maybe they had other sources because, of course, they know everybody else in the team, but do you think Gio Reyna told his dad and his mom exactly how it went down in that match before the World Cup?
Oh, I'm sure not.
Exactly how
you
he
don't-
acted?
Did you ever tell your parents the whole truth on when you were a prick?
No, you dressed it up. It wasn't my fault, Mom. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. He was mean to me, right? And then the parental instincts kick in, and now we've got a scandal. And then look, the other part of this, the other thing that again goes all the way back to the original hiring of Berhalter, the issue of the incestuous relationships, is not just the fact that Claudio Reyna and Danielle Reyna have access to Ernie Stewart or to Greg Berhalter or to anybody else in that way because of the friendships, right? Not just that part, but the part that puts a kid who has known that guy as essentially Uncle Greg his whole life under his watch at the World Cup after he hasn't played played 123 minutes during qualifying, right? Because he was hurt. And then he gets to the World Cup, and that coach, this is my belief. This is just an opinion, my analysis. I have no idea if this is exactly how it went down, but it makes sense. That coach, recognizing he's got a relationship with that kid that is different than he has a relationship with anybody else in that team, sits him down and says, look, here's the way it's going to go for you, right? Now, I don't think he should have done that. I don't think Greg Berhalter should have given Gio Reyna any advance notice about what his role at the World Cup was going to be. I think that was a mistake. But I think Greg did it because of the personal relationship that existed.
I think he thinks he's doing him a solid by being upfront.
Absolutely. And it was the wrong thing to do. But I understand where the instinct comes from, too. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, and I think Gio, if he's 3 or 4 years older, takes that conversation. I don't know that Berhalter's wrong to have that conversation with him, to be honest with you. I think a more professional, more adult player may actually even want to know that going into it. So like to actually prepare them.
Again, he's 19.
But did Brendan Aronson or Joe Scally get these conversations?
No, I guarantee you they didn't get those conversations.
Brendan Aronson's the closest thing to Gio Reyna's situation. Brendan Aronson came in with a legitimate argument to potentially be a starter. Great form that he was in, and didn't get the role. I don't know. Maybe Berhalter did talk to Aronson as well. But the fact that you have to treat the kid with kid gloves is both an indictment on Reyna's immaturity and Berhalter's conflict of interest when it comes to the Gio Reyna situation and why he shouldn't be a part of this going forward. Both for this reason and for some of the failures, it's just time to move on.
There's absolutely a fair criticism of Berhalter, as BMR says. Didn't make sense to tell Gio that before the World Cup when he didn't know how the tournament would play out. I don't get that part.
Sure.
That's what I don't get about.
I think you take it a game. I think you take it a game at a time. Like, hey, Gio, just a heads up for this first game. Going with Tim Weah, want to let you round into this tournament a little bit, see how it goes. But right now, one game at a time. Have a conversation with the kid. Yeah, he probably does deserve have a little bit of a conversation and know why you're making the decision. But to tell him that his whole World Cup is screwed before it even starts, Weah could get hurt 2 minutes into the World Cup for all he knows.
Yeah, man, it's just. It's just so messy, so ugly, and so ready for TV. Like you're right.
There's gonna be like a Hulu or documentary or something like that on this.
You and I have been on this.
Who
show
plays
for
Claudio Reyna? Who plays Claudio
years.
Reyna in that?
So casting this thing would be interesting. But you and I have been on this show for years.
Yeah.
Clamoring for more messiness in American soccer, right? Because it's the entertainment factor, right? It's the thing that we get excited about between matches is, man, like who crashed their car into that fountain in Manchester? Oh, damn, let's go find out who that was. We don't have those things in American soccer because our guys aren't big enough and famous enough.
I'm casting John Bon Jovi as Claudio Reyna.
Isn't he more of a...
You got to pick someone from Jersey, right? It has to be a Jersey kind of like...
See, here's the thing. This is what happens when we try to
A
cast.
young J.K. Simmons plays Greg Berhalter.
Invariably, what happens is you end up casting somebody too old to be the person they're supposed to be playing. Berhalter's what, 50? About 50.
Yeah, so
A little bit older than that.
he's like 47, 48, I think. He's a
Oscar
little bit
Isaac
older
as
than-
Claudio Reyna's actually.
That's pretty damn good. Morgan put Hugh Jackman, but I think Oscar Isaac is a good,
Oscar
good
Isaac as
shout.
Claudio Reyna's a decent shout. But you gotta have some. You gotta cast Gio too. So there's a whole thing there.
Yeah,
with
Gio's
Gio.
got some young. I'm not gonna act like I know young. If they're not on Stranger Things, I don't know any actor under 20.
Yeah, there's that Wolf Finhard or whatever his name. What's his name?
Yeah, he ain't playing it. That dude's skinny as a rail, man. That dude ain't doing nothing athletic.
Is it like
Finn
Wolf
Wolfhard?
Finn Wolf.
Finn Wolfhard.
Wolf Finhard, whichever one that is. Yeah, whichever that. I mean, and again, the thing about being off and trying to follow this by getting like I'm seeing the Slack and I'm running to Reddit. It's my only place to like see the updates. The thing about it is it completely overshadowed the question of who the next head coach of the U.S. men's national team should be. And I know it took us 26 minutes to mention the fact that Anthony Hudson is the.
Oh, is that how we're saying it?
That's how he says it because he's British and that's how they say it.
Anthony.
They don't say
Angela.
Angela. I mean,
Have we talked about that on the show, or is that just a bonus thing you do?
my
Jason could do one great impression.
No. I have
And
a
it
couple,
is
but
it is
that's-
a one-word impression of Tony Danza from Who's the
No,
Boss.
if I had to do a one-word impression, which used to be a thing on Doug Love's Movies back in the day, if I had to do a one-word impression, it would absolutely be Tony Danza saying, Angela. Yeah, I would 100% be that. Stanley
Yeah.
Tucci as Greg Berhalter. Too old. Too old.
Yeah.
Got to go younger. No, you could put a bald cap on somebody, so don't forget that. Like, it's out
Yeah,
there.
just
It's a
shave it.
possibility.
Oh, you know who would be good? I just saw him shave his head for a thing he did. God dang, what's the guy's name from Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Not McElhenney and not Charlie Day. The third guy.
Oh, the other guy. Yeah, somebody will know his name.
He just
I
did
know
a
who you're
role
talking
where he
about.
had to shave his head like into like a bald thing, and I was like, he could play Berhalter.
Interesting.
Glenn Howerton.
Glenn Howerton, yes, Glenn Howerton.
Yeah.
Funny guy, very funny guy, Glenn Howerton. All right, we'll think about this.
Yeah, listen, Oscar Isaac hit it so well in the head that I think that one's locked up already. I don't think
Timothy
there's room for
Chalamet
anything
is
else.
Gio. Chalamet's too skinny too, isn't he?
Yeah, you gotta have an athlete, man. You gotta have an athlete. No,
Okay.
no, Morgan says Tanner Buchanan. Don't know who that is.
Who is that? Who is Tanner?
He's a guy from Cobra Kai.
Oh,
Oh, is
the
that
guy
the
from Cobra
lead guy
Kai.
from Cobra Kai?
The guy with the hair from Cobra Kai,
Or the Hawk.
I know who that is.
Oh, not that guy. She's
He played. He's
Morgan. Who is it?
Who is it, Morgan?
It's the what's his name's son.
Yeah, he plays Johnny's son.
Oh, it's Johnny's son.
Johnny's
That
son.
guy. Okay, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about then.
Because
Okay.
he has to
I
be
mean,
fit. He has to
can
be
we-
fit in order to play.
Oh,
Gio.
and Morgan, is he fit in more than one way?
Oh yeah.
Can we
you, Morgan.
also? Can we all? Tanner Buchanan, is that his name?
Yes.
Tanner Buchanan. Can we? He does look like he was on the cast of Tool.
One
what
Tree
was the-
Hill.
No, what was? Well, I was thinking 90s.
Oh,
sitcom.
Home Improvement.
Home
He
Improvement.
does have like kind
or-
of like the hair
or
curtain
Boy
kinda
Meets
thing.
World. Like he's
Yeah.
in that zone. But 100%, we got to do better than these names, guys. I guess Zachary Taylor Thomas isn't any worse than Tanner Buchanan, right? Any
Yeah.
better, rather.
Yeah. All right. So who are you going to cast as the new coach of U.S. Soccer?
Man, well, so everybody's talking about it. Zinedine Zidane reportedly turned down the U.S. men's national team gig. Except
Yeah, he also
I don't
turned
think
down
that's what
Brazil
happened
and
at
someone
all.
else, didn't he?
I think somebody sent
think
that
they
dude a
approached.
fax from the U.S. Soccer.
But listen,
Said,
I like that U.S. Soccer is setting their sights on someone the level of Zinedine Zidane. That's what they should be doing. That's what this period is for. Yeah, not bringing Berhalter and having an interim coach is the right thing to do for a certain period of time while you try to get the best candidate in. And I love that they approached Zinedine Zidane. Swing for the fences. But I think it's true that he probably wants, if he's going to take a national team job, he wants the France job. And I get that. Because Didier Deschamps, baby, it might be time to move on and do something else.
man,
after two
I cannot
cycles.
imagine. And this is not about like, oh, European soccer is so much more evolved than American soccer, and they will. How will they handle?
Can you imagine if a parent came up to Zinedine Zidane and tried to tell him how to coach his team?
Not just that part,
Headbutt.
but like, can you imagine having to like the media in America just asking Zinedine Zidane questions.
Okay,
I love
just-
those guys. But
I don't know what the right answer to this is. And you and I went through a list of potential candidates back in the day, and I still don't feel any different or know any more or more passionate about anyone than I was that day, the day after the World Cup when we spoke about it. I think the list is fairly the same. I think more than ever, there is a likelihood that Jesse Marsch becomes available in the next few months.
it's
things
looking
aren't going
like
well.
that might happen. Sure,
But
that's a
that goes back to what I
possibility.
said earlier, though.
I
Let's
don't
assume
want
Jesse Marsch is.
Marsch. No.
I'll give you two reasons why I don't want
No.
Jesse Marsch. Well, I love Jesse Marsch. I love Jesse Marsch. And there's
Yes,
part of
I
me that
love
does
Jesse
want
Marsch.
it. I'll give
Not
you
for
two
this
reasons.
job.
Two reasons why. One, it continues the internal nature of U.S. soccer.
Sure.
And two, because he's also close to that same generation. Like if you go to someone
Absolutely.
like Jim Curtin, he's
also-
far
he's
enough
also-
removed. I feel like that's not as much of an issue.
He also fell off the Bob Bradley coaching
But also
tree.
the
Everything
one
about
thing-
him is incestuous.
The one thing that Greg Berhalter got right over his entire cycle, including the World Cup, is they're a great defensive team. Jesse Marsch is not a good defensive coach. Are you seeing what's happening at Leeds? Like it is horrible.
Do not think that Jesse Marsch's approach is the right one for the U.S. men's national team, which makes it a question as to whether or not if you hire Jesse Marsch, he would be able to pivot to some other system. And so far, we have no evidence of that. And therefore, to me, that's a disqualifying element. You can't hire a guy who's been a system coach his entire career. He's coached one way, the Red Bull way.
Yep.
No, I don't want the Red Bull way for my national team. It's not going to work for this national team. No.
Yeah, you need a guy that is not coming in, and this is, I think, one of my issues with Greg Berhalter as well, is that you want a guy that doesn't come in with a system already in his head of what he has to play. And I think for those that want Marcelo Bielsa, I get it. But the same thing there, right?
thing.
He comes in, he doesn't matter what the talent around it. I want a coach that's going to build a team around the talent that's available, not go try to find talent to run your system.
And I know Bielsa has coached internationally, right, and had some success internationally. I'm not going to disregard that. I do think that there's something to be said for that coach in the perfect moment pushing a team forward. It was Chile, right? That Bielsa turned into a monster for a little while there. Obviously, they didn't make the World Cup. I think that's right. Anyway, my point is there's something romantic about somebody like Marcelo Bielsa, and it's less romantic about Marsch just because he hasn't had the success that Bielsa has. Being so committed to the way they play the game that it becomes this thing about them. It's the same thing with Almeida in San Jose, or Almeida period, right? He's got the hair, he's got the whole attitude, he's got this warrior mentality. He brings Bushido ethics to the team. We're gonna go and kill them, and then they give up 6 goals, and you're kind of like, I don't know, dude. That's not. I want a national team coach.
I'll give Jesse Marsch credit.
I want a national team coach who coaches in a national team way, an international soccer way, Jared. Like you said, take your talent, make the best way of playing to fit your
And
talent.
we're talking about Zinedine Zidane. He doesn't have a track record of doing that either. So, I mean, who knows if that's even the right fit for us. But I agree with you. I want a established national team coach with a track record of cultivating a system around the players, not the other way around. Who that is, I don't know. A lot of people saying Hugo Perez. How is that not still more of the same, though? I don't know, man.
Hugo Perez does not have a resume that screams hire that guy, right? And by the way, neither did Berhalter. So I'm not saying that this is a disqualifying thing for Perez. He's not. He
needs to jump to a Costa Rica or something like that.
He played with those guys, but he's not of those guys, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying he's not friendly with Reyna or with anybody else. But I actually think, and you can't go and hire somebody simply because Gio Reyna is who Gio Reyna is. But I do think that you kind of need, and this is the Zidane aura, you need somebody that not only is not going to answer a call from Daniel Reyna or care at all that Claudio's bitching about his playing time, but you need somebody that everybody in the locker room completely respects. Completely will never F with, period. Like, Zidane's that guy for sure. Gio Reyna's not. Gio Reyna can mouth off to Greg Berhalter and throw a tantrum because Greg Berhalter's a guy he's known his whole life. Greg Berhalter's a guy who coached, Columbus and in Hammarby. So you need to find somebody who's got something on their resume, some sort of standing in the game, that Gio Reyna literally would never open his mouth.
Yeah,
That's what
I
you
agree with you. You need someone with big dick energy. You need that big coach that is you're not going to mess with, and a Hiddink. Like even Zidane even though he's not with the national team, but that name.
Not Hiddink, but Van Gaal for sure. But Van Gaal's
I'm just talking. I'm putting names out there that just have the resume already. You know, like I'm talking about like just any coach that has that kind of resume already.
This is a really interesting shout. I don't think he's got the resume. He doesn't have the experience. He coached one season in Montreal.
An assistant coach with. I mean, if you want him, take Roberto Martinez because he was assistant coach to him.
Got hired by Portugal. Or is about to get hired by Portugal, which is a thing, like wild, but sure.
I'll say Luis Enrique's still out there.
Oh man, look, you want to? No, man.
Who do you want?
Who do I want to coach?
Oh, you hate this. You hate this. You hate this so much. I love Benji's position.
No, sure, man. So I keep saying that Van Gaal can't work because Louis Van Gaal retired, but Van Gaal's the perfect guy. To me, he's the perfect guy. He's got standing. He's got experience. He's coached a top-level team internationally. He's coached the club level. That guy knows his shit, and the players are never going to say a word to him. They're just going to listen. Now, I'm not saying he would be. This is what I said before. Before all this nonsense happened.
Is Hervé Renard a big enough name?
I don't think Hervé Renard is a big enough name. No, I don't think that works. I think you need somebody, but the other question obviously
is that name's not really out there, is it? Is that name out there right now and available? Is this a case to wait a year?
They're all kind of too old. You know what I'm saying? Like they're all too old. Like Van Gaal, man, what? Yeah, they're all like 65, 70. The guys that I think of, and I don't think that works. You need a guy who's he's going to grind. And it's not a grind because you're not playing that many tough games.
What's Dunga doing these days?
Who?
What's Dunga doing these days?
Dunga? You hire Dunga?
I don't know.
Man, yeah, that's the thing. And again, the reason I have trouble with this, you can shoot for the moon. Okay, as much as I think he's a sourpuss, a-hole, whatever, I'm not sure why I'm censoring that one. Thomas Tuchel has standing. Like, Thomas Tuchel would be somebody they would listen to.
Yeah, me. I don't like that, man. There's just the Pulisic thing. He hasn't done a national team. I don't know, man. I would prefer Yogi Love over.
He got mentioned in the chat. Yogi Love's got the standing for sure. That guy's got,
Okay, let me play a game with you. Yogi Love or Hervé Renard?
Oh, you want? Well, let's just make it official since we're here. This is being a little slow today, but go ahead. Say it again.
So, Yogi Love or Hervé Renard?
I would take Yogi Love over Hervé Renard, of course.
Yogi Love or Jim Curtin?
Yogi Love.
Yogi Love or Tite?
Tite is an interesting one. I mean, underperforming with Brazil, there's a black mark there, but I mean, honestly, I have no idea how that would go.
Just
how he would want to play. But I think Yogi Love over Chiche.
Yogi Love or Carlos Queiroz?
Yogi Love over Carlos Queiroz.
The only thing that makes you hesitate and fight the same thing as me is Carlos Queiroz has a good handle on what the American player is.
He knows
That's the only thing.
Or he did. I don't know where he's at right now. He did. But Queiroz, and look, I know what Queiroz did with Iran was not necessarily like, I mean, he's got that rep of playing extremely, extremely negative soccer.
Yogi Love or Luis Enrique?
Yogi Love. Tactically, style-wise, Yogi Love over Enrique, 100%.
Yogi Love or Didier Deschamps?
Ooh, that one's interesting because I do really like the way France plays. And I think that the U.S.
When you think of the youth influx
the US
that
could play
he's
that
managed
way.
in France,
yeah,
and that lines up very well. Wait, who was the Belgium coach before Roberto Martinez? That's interesting to me because whoever was there before Roberto Martinez, they marshaled in a very similar youth influx at that time. But I do like the idea of Didier Deschamps just because, like you said, like he knows how to manage young talent, and he plays a very exciting style of game.
Mark Wilmots was there before Martinez.
From what years is it?
And Wilmots has been coaching in, where is this? Morocco recently, club team
Interesting.
in Morocco. He coached Iran in 2019. He coached the Ivory Coast after he left Belgium. He was a Belgium assistant for a while before he became the Belgium head coach. Yeah, he was kind of the guy that, like, he was the Berhalter, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're here, you're kind of around, you're from, you're a native, you're from the country that you're coaching. Coach up our kids, and then hand it off to the next level manager. And Martinez was supposed to be the next level manager for Belgium, right, to take them to that level.
Yeah.
So we're looking for.
So where we? So
our
you said Deschamps
Martinez.
over Löw?
Deschamps has been successful more recently, so I guess that is a pleat in his cape. I still think the thing about Yogi Löw is obviously a guy with a great resume internationally, and he, because of his long stint with Germany, he obviously understands the rhythm of that, how to get the good out of a team. He also had a high profile failure with them, and he also picks his nose. So you wonder about, like.
Let me give you an interesting one.
Yeah, Deschamps not available. You're not saying Deschamps available. You're
I'm just saying.
going
I'm
through
just putting things out there, and this is another one that's
Yeah.
not available right now that I'm going to put out there because there's an interesting reason why you might consider this one. Diego Alonso, currently coaching Uruguay,
Yeah.
coached at Inter Miami.
Yeah, I was not impressed with Diego Alonso when he was in Miami, but I don't know enough about him, and he didn't get Uruguay out of the group at the World Cup. So
Okay. So we're
don't
landing on
know.
Didier Deschamps as our best option.
I still would take
Or-
Love over
or Yogi Löw.
Deschamps. I would
Okay.
take Love over Deschamps.
So it's like 2-horse race right now in terms of if we had every pick of any coach that's currently available. Okay, sorry, Yogi Löw or Stanley Tucci.
Still Yogi. I want a guy
I'm
called
there too.
Yogi. Come
I'm there
on.
too.
I want a guy called Yogi.
Let me give you one more, just out there. Okay.
Okay.
Yogi Löw or Jose Mourinho.
Jose Mourinho. You want me to?
Ooh. You said that, or you're just repeating me? That's your choice.
No. I'm feeling. I'm testing out
okay.
how it feels in my mouth. Jose Mourinho. I'm not saying it the proper way. Wow, that one's interesting. I think that Jose is a caricature at this point. He's still effective on some level.
Been wanting to the U.S. for years.
I think that could get messy.
Do you
pretty
want
quickly.
Jose Mourinho in a position where he has no pressure on him for the next 3 years?
Well, there's that for sure.
Dude's
But I
just going to
also
sip
think-
good California wine for
I also
for
think
months.
Jose is the kind of guy though. Like, and again, the returns have been diminishing on Jose for the last 10 years, right?
Say again,
but-
sorry.
So the returns on Jose have been diminishing
yeah.
for the last 10
Yeah.
years.
I mean, was he at
But I
Roma still
do
right now?
think he relishes an opportunity to prove people he can do stuff that no one thinks he can do. And I think that this a U.S. team, World Cup in America, all that stuff, I think it might actually be okay for a while. I think it might be okay.
But you're
for the
thinking,
next
are you thinking
week.
Mourinho or Love?
Man, I think I'm talking this out, so don't think I'm sitting on the fence.
No,
here.
that's fine.
The question is whether or not Love, a German coaching Germany, benefited from some cultural things that would be missing if he coached the United States, right? So I have to get to a point of faith that Yogi Löw can translate what he did in Germany. And look, we're not expecting a world champion necessarily in 2026, but we are talking about doing something significant. I have to hope that he can translate what he did in Germany, where he speaks the language, where he knows the teams and the culture and the player pool, and make that work for the United States.
I think Jose would have a better transition than Love would to that
I think that's
environment.
probably true. That's probably true.
But I think Jose's
But man, you dance with the devil.
tenacity is...
You dance with the devil.
All right, one last one before we move on. From Holden, Rafa Benitez or Yogi Löw.
Rafa Benitez or Yogi Löw? Yogi Löw over Rafa Benitez.
So we're saying that everyone out there that we can think of right now, Yogi Löw is probably here's the thing. He's the smart chalk choice that is unsexy as hell.
He's unsexy.
Unsexy as hell.
He's unsexy as a person,
Yeah. Yes.
right? That's what you mean.
Yes.
Not unsexy as a coach because he's done some big stuff. But he's so interesting as a coach because who does that? Really, who does what Yogi Love did?
I'll tell you right now, my favorite thing that could happen is for some reason Jurgen Klopp gets fired and he takes the U.S. job. That would be my favorite thing.
If Jurgen Klopp gets fired, he's going to have 13 clubs calling him.
Oh yes, I'm talking like pie in the sky. Pie in the sky.
Yeah. This is the other thing. Like let's pretend you and I are running U.S. soccer. This is amazing. Let's do this. Come on. Let's pretend we're running U.S. soccer.
I'm getting caller ID.
Okay, so we've got first of all, we're tossing out the live in Chicago requirement. Done. You get out the door.
Stupidest thing ever.
Screw that. Now, I do want you to live in the country. Like I don't want you to be like 18 hours away. Just kind of be nearby.
6 months of the year. 6 months of the year.
Somewhere. Okay, just be somewhere nearby. You want to chill in Boca Raton and then fly up.
Have a residence. Have a residence.
Yeah, have a residence. Well, you know what? We might even set you up with a residence depending on where you want to live and how much it costs. But this is my question. How much should U.S. soccer pay the next head coach of the U.S. men's national team?
So what's Berhalter getting? Roughly 1.5 a year?
Something like that. 1.4, 1.5.
It's a World Cup
look,
year.
This is
You're about
all
to
about
host
what
the World
Michael.
Cup.
This is all about what Michael's putting in, right? The question of how attractive a job is this? You know what? The more zeros you put on the end of the paycheck, the more attractive it is.
Man, I think this is a World Cup cycle. You're going to make a shitload of money in the
You
World
think
Cup.
you are. You think you are.
Okay.
I mean, you probably should.
U.S. does
It's a decent
sponsorships
bet.
well. U.S.
It's a
does
decent
sponsor.
bet.
You're not having to invest in any stadiums. Like everything that Qatar's to do, South Africa had to do.
No,
you don't have to do any of that.
Well, first of all, that wouldn't be your money anyway as U.S. soccer, but you're right.
Well,
Commercially, you should be set up. You should be good to
Yeah.
go. Things should be
infrastructure is there.
Pretty strong for you. Right. Yeah.
I would say you need to pay this coach $4 million a year.
Oh, my God. That's a chunk, man.
You got to pay to get. You got to pay to play,
No,
right?
I agree with you. I was thinking more in the area of 3.
Did you know that that Wolf Finhard is getting? He's getting $8 million for one season of Stranger Things.
Is he really?
I just read that today.
That's that guy?
Or $7 million. $7 million.
He might be the worst one. He might be the worst one.
Nah, Noah Schap's the worst one.
Okay, Noah Shap, the emo one. He's the worst.
Yeah,
one,
no,
right?
he's Will.
Oh, yeah, Will.
One is stuck in the upside down.
Wait, which one?
He's the one. He's the kid that got stuck in the upside down. The original first of the season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That
okay.
one.
He's
When I
the
say
emo.
emo.
One?
The latest season.
I thought his brother was a little more emo than him.
The latest season was whole is he in love with Mike? Is he not in love with Mike? What's going on with him and Mike?
Does he just
That
like
whole thing?
surfer? Oh, did you see? I went to the Stranger Things experience.
Actually, you know what? I lied. The older brother. He might be the
That's
worst
the
one.
emo one. Yeah, he's the emo one.
older-
But did you see? I went to the Stranger Things experience out here in L.A.
I did not know you did that. What happened?
So it was like it's like a interactive theater kind of thing that you do. But at the end, the cool part was they've recreated the whole like Starcourt Mall, and you can go get pizza at Surfboard Pizza. You can go have ice cream at
Sweet.
Scoops Ahoy. You can play video games at the arcade place. There's movie rental place. There was a bar. Like they've recreated all that, and that was actually kind of cool. Sorry.
You know what?
Aside.
How much was Klinsmann making? Because that's a good question.
I'm not sure, but I know we paid him out. We paid him out a couple mil to get him off the books.
Yeah,
David D
there was
says 4 million, sure, but we don't go from 1.6 to 4. 3 million is possible. He doesn't think we make
Okay.
that jump.
So in the year,
But it was Berhalter.
The year ending.
You got him for jersey rates. He skis in his jeans.
Yeah, 3.3 in the fiscal year 2017, 2018 for Mr. Klinsmann.
I'm sorry, how much did you say?
3.3 mil. So yeah,
A
I
year?
might be with you.
A year?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was getting.
But Berhalter's not getting that.
No. Berhalter got 1.
He's got no
something.
Ballon d'Ors.
Yeah, Berhalter got 1 point something. But Berhalter probably got a
Wait, did
couple
Klinsmann have a
hundred.
Ballon d'Or? Or did he have a
No.
World Cup and Golden Boot?
Did not have a Ballon d'Or. Jurgen Klinsmann did not.
Did he have a Golden Boot though?
In what tournament? In what?
I thought maybe the
situation?
'94 World Cup.
He might have.
Or the
I don't-
90.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
He got some big piece of hardware. I can't remember what. Okay, so right here from Nathan Newcomb, he says, I think 10 mil was full contract for one cycle. Was
For
that for
Klinsmann.
Berhalter or Klinsmann? I'm
for
not sure.
Klinsmann. For Klinsmann.
And
You're saying
Marco
for
says,
Klinsmann.
Greg Triple G said 1.3 million a year. So we need to go back up and surpass Klinsmann rates. I think that's right. Inflation, dude. Have you seen how much it
No,
costs for
you're
milk?
right. You're right. It just blows my mind. That look, I understand that the level of pressure and the response. Greg
Michael
Berhalter
Dwyer
got
says
1.3.
Louis Van Gaal was making 2.6.
Yeah, that's euros. That's dollars.
I
that's,
don't know.
What is that?
I don't know.
That's a
But it
good
shows
question.
even if it is euros, three that shows you 3 is somewhere in the right range for a top level national team coach.
If you pay
And plus, America comes with a ton of sponsorships too.
If you spend $4 million on a coach, by the way, does not have to qualify. Keep that in mind. If you spend $4 million on a coach for the World Cup in 2026, I mean, you better be absolutely positive that that's the guy.
Carl Tanner
and-
saying Jesse's getting 3.5 million a year for Leeds. Right now.
These are good. Yeah, coaching at the highest level is a good gig for bank account wise. If you can get
that buys a
100%.
lot of acid wash jeans.
So what if we tossed in some freebies, some perks? Like Josie's a wine guy, right? What we can do? Like give him
He gets a villa in Napa.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Spend your time that you're not coaching the team at the villa in Napa. There you go.
Man, I don't know, man. I think we said okay. Out of all the coaches we just said, would you make a move for Yogi Love or someone that caliber that we were just talking about in the next 2 months, or would you wait a year to have the chance of getting someone better? I feel like here's my take. While you think about it, I'm going to give you my take on this. A month ago, I might have said you wait a year, but
Okay.
I feel that this U.S. soccer infrastructure needs stability, and it needs it soon. It needs a course. It needs
Well,
a
I
heading.
think- yeah,
it needs
I
a
think-
rudder.
You need to. You need to.
And Anthony Hudson, I don't think is the rudder.
You need to power wash.
He's
the
autopilot.
Reyna Berhalter situation off the driveway. You got some spooge. Some stuff happened. I don't want to go into it, but you
did.
There's some stuff down there, okay? And you got to get the power washer out, and you got to put it on that, not the 40 degree. We got to get down to
No.
like 5 degrees, right?
Yes.
We're like, we might be taking chunks of concrete with us, but that's
Yes.
okay because we're cleaning here. We're deep cleaning.
Yes.
You got to get that out. You go now. You got to go as fast as possible, in my mind. You got to go as fast as possible because I just don't
I
know
agree with you, man.
how
You
you
can
go
always
like
make
a
a move down the
stew.
road again if you need to, but you don't want to be that. U.S. has never been that federation
there
that
are-
makes a move close to a cup or something like that. Well, I
A
guess we
couple
do
of
with Klinsmann.
things I really want to see happen in the very near future. Okay, now I understand that right after the World Cup in January, timing's weird. Maybe it's tough to go find a coach. Again, Yogi Love's sitting out there doing something. What is he doing? Is he like what is he doing?
Eating his own? I don't know.
Probably. What I don't know what he's doing. Anyway,
I don't know.
I understand the timing's weird, but I think I really want Greg Berhalter to get a job. Now he probably won't until the summer. He probably can't until the summer, right? Get a job anywhere. But I really want Greg Berhalter to get a job that is not U.S. soccer. Because then we don't have to sit here wondering if U.S. soccer, if Ernie Stewart, who said that despite the investigation, despite all this stuff, Greg Berhalter's still under consideration. No, I don't think Berhalter should be disqualified from being the national team head coach because of what happened in 1991, provided that all the things he said about how he handled it are true. I do think people should be allowed to improve themselves from when they were college kids. But I don't want that guy as the head coach anymore. So it'd be nice if he went out and found something else to do and took himself off the market, and we'd have to sweat whether Ernie Stewart was lining up a new contract.
Let me tell you 2 things I just learned about Yogi Love as I was looking through his Wikipedia.
Okay.
I learned that we have a chance to wipe the slate clean and have a new version of Daniela, because that's his wife's name. We can have a new Daniela in our lives in U.S. soccer.
Isn't it Danielle?
I don't know.
The Reyna? Isn't it Danielle?
I don't know. And then
Daniela?
secondly, did you know he lost his driver's license twice for excessive speed and using a mobile phone while driving?
Well, now he's kind of a badass, and I want
That's
him
kind
to
of
coach the national
cooler
team.
than I thought
Yeah.
he was.
Let's go. Let's go. We need him up the
Hey,
PCH. going
we got
75
Jorge
in a-
Campos and LA Galaxy for throwing a Ferrari his way. What can we throw in his way to get him some? You want an Audi?
Yeah, I mean, whatever the top of the line is, get that thing over here. Let's go. We got it all. You kidding me? You gotta line him up. Just line him
Oh
up.
my
Let's do it.
God. All right, we got like 5 minutes left in the show. So you want to talk a little bit about where players are. We haven't really talked about players. We've been talking about
You wanna
coaches
talk about-
and federations.
Now, look, if you're going to get hurt after the World Cup. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not wishing anybody get hurt.
For sure.
But get hurt after the World Cup, I guess. Man, and he was on that run. I mean, it's annoying that after the World Cup, Graham Potter's suddenly like, all right, Christian, here you go. All these starts.
Well, yeah, have you seen? He's looking down the bench and he's putting a guy from a youth team in there. He's got no one. Everyone's
that's
hurt
also
over there.
a
You know,
problem
like
for them.
so. Part of it is
They
like,
got
does he
whacked
believe in
today,
Pulisic?
By the way,
Yeah.
they got whacked today. So,
yeah, no Pulisic, no Sterling, no Reece James. I mean, they're in a bad. How do you buy that many players and still not have players? That's rough. So from what Graham Potter said, I believe it was today, Pulisic out for a number of weeks. Didn't say months. He said weeks.
Okay.
So that's a good call. You know,
Okay.
for me, when I looked, I was like, ooh, that looks like an MCL kind of thing. So we'll see. When you hit the ball same time as someone like that, it's usually kind of a lateral kind of thing your knee does. So
Yeah.
good to hear that it's potentially weeks. But what that really does is I think it takes him out of candidate for a loan or a sell just to get out of that Chelsea situation. Now he's stuck at
Yeah,
Chelsea.
I don't think he's
by
going
the end of
anywhere
the
right
year.
now. Yeah, it's going to be there probably the balance of the year, and we just hope he's healthy and gets some time. And you know, I do think
What's
that we're
weird
going
is
to have to.
don't you feel like this transfer window, there's like almost nothing happening after a World Cup, no less? Outside of Cody Gakpo, like what are the big moves like that people
Oh,
is like?
there's a couple out
But
there.
you expect
yeah.
more after a World Cup.
Do you?
Am I asking too much on January 8th? Am I asking too much by January 8th?
So you have in a
We
typical
got Ronaldo
year,
going to
the
Saudi Arabia.
The World Cup ends. Oh,
By the way, did you see they're changing their laws so that he can live with his girlfriend?
No, I did not.
Because you're not
see
allowed
that.
to live with someone you're not married of the opposite
Oh my
sex in
God.
Saudi Arabia, and they're
You know what?
They're blurring it for my man.
If he had signed in Kansas City,
That's a
wouldn't have
commitment
changed
to
it.
not getting married. By the way,
Damn law.
That is
Yeah,
a
that is.
commitment to not getting
is.
married.
Yeah. Like, hey, you need to change your laws for me because I will not marry. I'm absolutely not marrying her. But I was like, if you went to Kansas City, no laws need to be changed. Did you see that, by the way?
Yeah,
Did you know about that?
I can't believe if you had given me 10 guesses and said there's an MLS team that was this close to signing Cristiano Ronaldo, would Kansas City been in those 10 guesses for you?
Absolutely not.
LA,
Absolutely not.
LA, New York, Chicago, Miami. Where else would you get before there? Toronto,
Miami
I put
again?
Toronto. Seattle,
Sure. I could throw Montreal in there just because it's the international
Atlanta.
city. No.
You put Atlanta. You would do KC before Atlanta?
No, but I wouldn't get to Atlanta in the top
Okay.
10.
Where would you get to next then? Austin?
Maybe Austin. I could see that. Sure. There's lots of
San
very rich
Jose?
people who live.
No.
Doesn't everybody live in Austin now? Doesn't the owner of Twitter live in Austin these days?
Yeah, but like what? I mean, I've just named 8 attractive cities that have money to spend. I mean, I don't know.
You know what? I would have bet that there would be a new expansion team in Vegas and Ronaldo would play there. Oh, that's
He can't go to
bad news for him.
Vegas.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, shit.
He can't go to Vegas.
What just happened?
What is it?
What just happened? I forgot.
Is it FC? Is it FC house
Vegas.
arrest? What are we
No,
doing?
can't go to Vegas. Forgot about that. Can't go to Vegas. No, Vegas.
Jesus.
Oh, sorry. That was weird. No, I didn't. I would not have expected Kansas City. I wish they had pulled it off. I don't really want him in MLS. I don't like the guy. But, you know, it would have been incredible if somehow he ended up playing at Children's Mercy Park, whatever that place is called now. But anyway,
Can you imagine?
in terms of
Do you
movement-
think Peter Vermees would have any control over him?
No. He would play
Is there an
whenever he
MLS
wanted to
coach
play.
that could get control of Cristiano Ronaldo?
No, you are. I mean, Vermees would try. I don't think Vermees has the personality to have an impact. I think Vermees could have some.
I'll
balance
give you
in the
one coach
relationship.
that could have probably coached Cristiano Ronaldo. Bruce Arena. He
would not give a shit.
He'd just let
about
him do what he
Ronaldo.
wants, and he would like be who you are, and
Yeah.
I will make the team around you.
He would literally. He wouldn't treat him any differently. He would just not. Yeah, he would not get in his way. That's Bruce.
Yeah.
Absolutely not getting in his way. I was going to say about the window and about the timing. In a normal year, the World Cup ends. It's a summer window. Everybody's doing business. Everybody's remaking their team. It's the start of the new season. In the middle of the year, in January is not that busy anyway. Just because the World Cup happened doesn't mean people are suddenly like. In fact, it's actually kind of works the opposite way. Cody Gakpo notwithstanding, most teams aren't going to be like, oh, that guy who just busted his ass and played 4 games of really intense soccer at the World Cup. Let's go sign him for our run out. Like, I don't know if that makes
how's
sense.
that working for Pulisic right now? You know, like there is fatigue on these players that went to the World Cup, 100%. Do you think Weston McKennie moves or he stays at Juventus?
Well, he started again. How was their last result?
They actually beat. I can't remember who they beat. I'm sorry, but they won on the weekend. He started as a wing back on the right side.
Well, so I guess what I would need Udinese. They beat Udinese yesterday. Yeah, he did start in a different position, right? He's kind of getting moved around because he's versatile. I don't like that necessarily. I want him to play in his best spot. This is what I need to know is just how bad is their money situation and the thing that got I was off a week. Remember, after the World Cup, I took a week off. I don't know where things are on all those guys quitting and all the financial improprieties that are happening at Juve. I don't know how deep it is so that they need to go sell a $40 million euro player, which is what McKennie probably is right now, right? Something like in the 40.
Yeah, I've heard anywhere from 25 to 35, maybe up to 40.
Let's say top end 35 then. And that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I could see him
Aaronson
going,
was
but
40.
Who's got 35 right now? Who's sitting on 35 right now that's going to go get him? That's the question.
Tottenham.
And Tottenham loves him. I don't know why it hasn't
Aston
happened yet.
Aston Villa's been in talks. I think they've been talking about trying to grab him. I think it was Villa.
Don't want him to go to Villa for sure. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I liked Pulisic going to Juventus or Newcastle more than I like McKennie going to many places he's being rumored to go to right now.
Well, so
now, what I do think might still happen is I wouldn't mind seeing Musa make a move before the end of the window. I think Musa, I would like to see him take advantage of his World Cup and actually make a move to someplace a little bit higher caliber.
He is the one. He is the one. That probably could move now because he's that kind of player and he's that young, right? And he's got that upside. A player that's gotten, and not a World Cup player for the U.S. obviously, but Ricardo Pepi's been mentioned as getting some looks. I think it was Watford.
I think
keeping
Bournemouth
an eye
as well.
on him. Bournemouth. Was it? Am I right about Watford? Didn't Watford just sign? I know they signed Ishmael Kone.
Yeah,
just sign a forward out of Mexico. Am I missing that? I don't know.
Yeah, there is rumors that he's going to look for an English move, and it sounds like his Bundesliga team will not try to take him back. Do you want Pepe to move?
I don't want him to. I don't want him to go, as is being said in the chat. I don't want him to go to the Premier League from here. No.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good
move.
idea at all.
Remember how that worked for Josie?
I think to be honest with you, at this point, as young as he is, Ricardo Pepi's best move is to a second-tier league. He's already in a second-tier league, but he's playing, I don't know. He's playing in a league where defending is optional. I want him to go to a second-tier league, Belgium, Austria, somewhere like that, play for a team that's in the Champions League. So obviously Austria, that's pretty much Salzburg and nobody else. Belgium, there are a couple of options. Belgium for American players is kind of a mixed bag right now, but I don't know that it means that Pepe can't do something there. After that, it gets a little thin on the ground. I mean, championship.
You know who's having a good start of the second half of the season right here? Daryl Dike. Dike's looked nice, for West Brom in the time that he's been back. He's splitting time right now as a starter, but the minutes he's getting, he's looking strong.
How's his TikTok game though? Is it still?
I haven't checked his TikTok game lately.
Yeah.
Maybe he's concentrating on the game and not doing much TikTok. I don't know. Doesn't have much free time as he used to when he was rehabbing.
When he was not playing.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
who else is having a great start since the World Cup and almost making me change my mind about whether or not he should have been on the World Cup squad? Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman's on fire in Rangers right now.
He is.
Scored again today.
I still think that's that's not a clear choice. Malik Tillman should have been a World Cup player. It's kind of, as we said before, if you knew you were going to get nothing out of Luka, then bring Malik Tillman.
Yeah.
But I think they thought that Luka was going to be able to do something. And obviously,
Speaking of Luka, got his
Berhalter,
first start for Celta Vigo this week.
Berhalter also just kind of locked down on his 11. I mean, outside of that center forward position, and one swap.
Gio's aware. Gio's aware.
The swap at center back, and really there just wasn't. That's certainly a criticism of Berhalter at this point.
Yeah.
But in terms of Major League Soccer moves, anything stand out for you? Aaron Long going to LAFC. Okay.
Yeah, there's that. Atlanta's been doing some stuff in the front office. There's rumors that Joseph Martinez might be going to Miami. Sasha Kleshtin retired.
Shout out to Sasha Kleshtin, best mustache in the game.
Yeah.
Really keeping the MLS mustache game going. Nobody else.
I think he's going to have a
there.
good career in front of the camera after this.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
very Stuart Holden-ish. I think he has those kind of that ability to kind of to communicate the game well.
Did all that stuff? Did some good stuff for the World Cup. So yeah.
Yeah, Ryan
Sasha-
Hollingshead went to Toronto. Is it?
Is that right?
Longest serving Dallas player, I believe he went. Oh, it was not. Sorry, I'm thinking.
What are you talking
Hedges.
about? Ryan
I'm thinking
Hollingshead
Hedges.
plays for LAFC.
I was thinking Matt Hedges. I'm sorry, I was thinking Matt Hedges. I apologize.
Yeah, Matt Hedges went to Toronto. It's a good MLS move. It's not going to get my blood pumping on anything. In fact,
No, but-
I'm still, I may not be on Twitter, but it's not like I don't see how Tom Bogert gets down. Like I'm out. I know that there's things moving around, and I'm trying to keep an eye on it. I do a radio show, so I got to be aware. Yeah, it's just like I thought it was funny. Tom was talking about like somebody clearing waivers during the whole Reyna thing blowing up on Twitter. And he's like, yeah, I know it's kind of weird. I'm tweeting about this guy clearing waivers and getting signed in the middle of maybe the biggest
By the way,
story.
if Yogi Love becomes our coach, Tom Bogert better be careful in the press room when they say his name out loud. Yogi might get a little interested in him.
I don't have crickets to play for you. I'm sorry. That's a miss for me.
Man,
That's a miss for me. That's a miss for me. You opened up very strong 6 minutes into the year, into the show at the top.
I'm just saying, if you squint your eyes a little bit at the word Bogert, you might.
Well, I thought you were going to go somewhere with the mustaches. We went from Sasha and his mustache. We got Tommy B and his mustache.
Oh yeah. By the
But
way,
no.
and I'll put this up for Michael Dwyer. Twelman leaving ESPN as he going to Apple TV. Herc Gomez is out of contract with ESPN. Dunny's been in Barcelona for the last month. Like
Yeah,
I'm
Dunny.
really waiting for Apple to announce this roster of who's going to be covering the MLS. And judging by some of the names that are out of contract right now, I really think they have an opportunity to really nail this. It's just a question of, are these guys out of contract because they're out of contract? Or are they out of contract because they're waiting for this to launch? There's some big names out there right now.
Yeah, there are.
And like I said, Hercules Gomez is probably the best pundit I think U.S. soccer has right now. So MLS would be very wise to try to latch onto him.
Yeah, I mean, I think there maybe is some freedom working for ESPN.
Well, they have
I
no
know ESPN
soccer.
Had games.
They have no
but-
soccer. They got FA Cup.
No,
That's it.
What I'm saying to
And
what I'm
Bundesliga.
saying to you is that while I love Herc on ESPN and what he does
Yeah.
on ESPN, and
He can have the
he's-
hot takes he has when he works for MLS.
it's going to be It's going to be a very different vibe, right? Football Americas is not going to exist on the MLS network of programming.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's the best show that was out there.
Not
man.
gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I wonder if I don't think
there's
Seb Salazar's out of contract for the ESPN.
I have heard nothing about Sebi Salazar in his future. And he obviously does a lot of other things, or can do a lot of other things for you.
I mean, I can see her going to and covering Mexican soccer too, to be honest with you. But we'll see.
He could do that. Absolutely capable of doing that. I mean, he has done that. He's been doing ESPN stuff. What is the one that they have? The show he does? I can't remember what it is.
I'm
He
sorry,
has
Seb
the
Salazar?
Spanish language show that he does. He also does a Spanish language
Oh,
show.
I'm sorry. It's probably not geared towards me. I'm sorry. You speak more Spanish than I do.
Somebody in the chat's going to know.
Your
it,
son
and I'm
speaks
gonna
more
be,
Spanish
God
than
damn it.
I do.
God damn it. Remember the name of this.
I'll say this
show.
though, just to cover Galaxy real quick. For a team that has, we don't know if they have a president or not. Supposedly,
Ahora o
Klein
Nunca, right? Is that Ahora o Nunca? Somebody confirm that for me.
Sure.
Ahora o Nunca.
I don't know.
All right, go ahead.
Supposedly, Chris Klein is supposed to be out of contract at the end of the year. There's been no announcement by the LA Galaxy on whether or not he is still continuing on or not. They have
Meanwhile-
a DP spot
meanwhile-
open, and they can't sign anyone in the summer. They should be making a lot of noise
And
right
there's,
now.
there's they just signed from the TFC.
The center back. I forget Mavinga.
Chris Mavinga. They just signed Chris Mavinga.
And Memo Gonzalez, I think from
Memo
Houston.
Rodriguez. Get that
Rodriguez,
man's name
excuse me.
right.
Well, we had a
Memo
Memo
Rodriguez.
Gonzalez back in the day. That's why I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
And so, but the rumors of Isco. That's the biggest name coming to MLS that I've heard rumored is Isco potentially coming to the Galaxy. Have you heard any other big rumor coming?
Man, I have not.
You're not plugged in.
I'm not.
You're not plugged in.
I'm not right now. I mean, if Lionel Messi to Miami, but apparently not. That's the last thing I really
guess
paid
not.
attention to.
Ronaldo to Kansas City, but not.
Ronaldo about to eat some barbecue. Is what I heard. That's not
Do you
going down.
think? Do you think Ronaldo would eat barbecue with a fork and knife? Would he
Do I-
get down
hold
on a
on,
rib?
hold on.
Would he
Hold
get
on.
down on a rib?
Do I think that Ronaldo would eat a rib?
If you put a rib in front of Ronaldo and give him
Not a
no
chance.
context, but there's
Not a chance.
there's a full
Not a chance.
setup of fork, knife, spoon, whatever.
No.
Is
No.
he eating with a fork and knife, or is he picking up a rib and eating it with like
he's
that?
not eating the rib. He's not eating it.
He won't eat a rib.
No, he's not going to eat
He's too
the
good
rib.
for a rib. He has a man like Salt Bay that just debones the rib for him on the plate.
I mean, maybe, or maybe he does. I just get the sense the man's not eating rib meat. Like, that's just not in his diet. And he's not eating the cornbread that goes with the rib meat, which is maybe one of the best parts of the meal. You got to have the cornbread with the rib meat. I don't think he's doing that. I just don't think he's doing that.
Man,
Everything that man eats is lean. Like, there's no lean to that. Come on. Come on.
he goes to the barbecue place and orders chicken.
Made a face. Made a face. All right. We pushed it to about as far as it can go. That's a good first episode.
You heard it here.
2020.
Ronaldo eats barbecue with a knife and fork.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't eat barbecue at all. There's no chance of that. Any other business before we get out of here? Anything that we need to tell people about before we
I
leave?
don't think so off the top of my head. Go join the Patreon, if you want an environment, a social area to discuss the world's events to soccer and American soccer that is less toxic than what you've been seeing on Twitter lately, in a more safe environment. Come on over and support us.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be. I've been thinking a bit about this, and I'm going to talk to Jared behind the scenes. But with the World Cup cycle over, there's going to be, a kind of a different approach for the show. It has to be, right? We're not going to make a show every week talking about like how the national teamers did in their
JTT
European
wants to know if you're going to the
places.
coaches convention.
I will be there on Thursday and Friday until just after my show. There's your
Okay.
information.
Toast one to me when you and JTT have a drink together. JTT is
Probably,
going to have
yeah.
his ginger ale.
Who knows what's going to happen in Philadelphia?
I want to know when you're there. Tell me what JTT's non-alcoholic drink of choice is. I'm saying Diet Coke for JTT.
You just ask the man. He's right there. He's
No, I
in
want
the
you to
chat.
report back. He can tell me anything. I want to know what he
You
actually
want me
drinks when you're in front
to
of him.
To spy on Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Yes.
want me to,
Report
like-
back to me.
OMFPG-13, it's JTT!
Who? Like he seems like an RC Cola man to me.
Where are you going to get RC Cola at a bar? You can't get RC Cola at a bar.
at a
What are you
bar.
talking
We're going
about?
to a bar.
Oh, look. He said Long Island iced tea. I see it right here. Long Island iced tea. He put it right here.
Double up on the liquor. The double Long Island iced
JT
tea.
Caesars, give me all the whites. Give me all the white liquors and put them in there and put some splash of tea in
man.
it, and we're good.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Anything else? That really is it.
That's all I
think,
got,
right?
buddy. That's all I got, buddy.
We will. We'll. Man, I love this show so much, and I love you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
The best.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Get to the chopper!
What are we doing?
Duh and or hello.
We are at DEFCON 1.
The horror show.
Damn, dog, that's in a props.
Oh, it's incredible! Oh, it's incredible!
The Sausage King of Chicago.
WNBC. WNBC.
Michael freaking Orozco Fiscal.
Jay Rodius.